there is no national party. And the task is too large for any man or any group of men or any several groups of men and women. We must not and we cannot afford the luxury of petty bickering and fights on minute rhetorical points in this convention. We must display not who is more of a Chicano, but just simply who doesn't need to debate what is a Chicano. We don't need to impress each other with our skillful and artful movidas. We need to write them down for the record and for those who haven't learned them yet. We need to stop concerning ourselves with Chicano power and begin building here power for Chicanos today. And the priority, like any good mechanic, any good street mechanic del barrio, the beginning priority is to build the power in the streets 24 hours a day, organizing our barrio, organizing our vecindad, de este lado de los traques, organizing all the other vecindades at every side of the traques in that area, the region, el estado y nacionalmente, para que no tengamos que decirles que nos van a tener miedo, porque vamos a ver que ellos ya saben que nos tienen que tener miedo. ¡Viva Falcón! Por favor, no es de hacer menos a Ramsey, y la razón por que yo estoy hablando es porque soy su campaign manager también. Es que tenemos mañana un tiempo apropiado para todos los candidatos de la Raza Unida, y ahorita el problema es tener las prioridades y la estrategia para elegir a esos candidatos mañana. Que por favor, bueno, está bien, hermanos. Entonces, por última vez Oiga, si están tan excitados, si están tan calientones, ¿por qué no vamos al baile y demostrar este entusiasmo a la noche para los huelguistas de Para, donde va a hablar Ramsey? We're going to proceed with the agenda. We're going to proceed with the agenda. At this point,
the agenda is to start off with the game priorities and explain the procedure.
right.
Okay, let me get ready for 5 minutes and
If I can have your attention, please. Por favor, recuerden que somos un partido mexicano, chicano y de una familia, y se respeta también a todos los hermanos. No es para negarle a Ramsey nada. Pero también señor Migración de Colorado,
Hace rato que habló Corky González, habló el hermano José Ángel Gutiérrez, y estamos hablando de tratar de solucionar los problemas que tenemos, no nomás aquí, en este estado, pero en los demás estados. Les digo que me da mucho gusto de saber que ustedes quieren que venga y hable. Pero a la noche le voy a dar todo el gas. Le damos. Gracias.
y ojalá que sí vayamos a oír a Ramsey y también apoyar a los trabajadores del Para, los que están en huelga. Vayan y también tengan un buen tiempo. Ahorita vamos a tener una small break. ¡Que viva! Pero déjenme explicarles un poquito lo que va a pasar después que regresemos en 15 minutos. Se va a ver la presentación de cada estado sobre los priorities que ellos tengan.
My name is Salvador Carpio, and I'm the state chairman for the Raza Unida Party of Colorado. We want to use the first few minutes of our presentation to allow a close friend of Ricardo Falcon, Jose Calderon from Alt Colorado, to give a memorial in honor of Ricardo Falcon. Jose?
Many of us who were close to Rich were really hurt by what has happened, because Rich was a great organizer. Rich was a great person, and they've taken all the years and all the experience that was part of La Raza Unida and part of a movement in Colorado. There is no loneliness like the loneliness of a community organizer in the barrios. There is no loneliness like the loneliness of a Chicano activist who fights for la Raza in the middle of a racist pit of fire. Many of us have known that loneliness. We, those that were close to Rich, knew that he knew that loneliness because we fought alongside of him, close to him, and we knew that loneliness. And we knew that the press could never print the suffering and hardship of Ricardo Falcón. We knew that they could never tell of the kinds of things he did whenever there was a protest or a struggle against racist institutions in northern Colorado. We knew that the press could never print the little things that Ricardo did, the battles he fought in the prisons, the marches he organized on the schools, on the universities, the raps he laid on the Chicano youth over and over again. Little viejitas, little viejitos, taking them to the welfare department, the Social Security office, fighting, organizing, and always talking about white America's power over our lives. We knew and saw that the press could only print labels of radical and protester about Ricardo. But I don't have to tell you, and I don't have to explain, because we understand what the press does to us. We knew and saw that the press could only come to press conferences and marches, that they could never come with us with the little viejitos or the little viejitas to the welfare department. We knew and saw that the press could never print the truth about Ricardo Falcón. And now back home we know and see that the press can never really write the truth about Ricardo Falcón. As best I can, as a carnal and a close friend in the movement of Ricardo, I especially got to know Ricardo in the last 6 months. We were together all those months organizing and working. But I will, from the heart, del corazón, try to put into words my own image of Ricardo Falcón. Ricardo Falcón was a strong man in a society that wants everyone weak and dying from the disease of social, cultural, and political exploitation. Ricardo was an individual in a melting pot that seeks to control us and manipulate us. Ricardo was el grito del barrio Bato in a society that crucifies the Bato, nails the rebel mind to the cross of Racismo America. Ricardo was just a carnal, un activista, un hombre que daba tanto para la raza que ni tenía tiempo para la vida de él. Ricardo era el grito de libertad, de justicia, contra el gigante monstruo. Ricardo era el grito de la raza unida. Justicia, igualdad, community control, self-determination, all part of a movimiento within Ricardo to end the long-time suffering of our Chicano brothers and sisters. Ricardo used these words by putting them into action. He sacrificed for his people, as other Chicanos have not been able to. He gave of his life to others for their improvement and thus improved himself. He was at his peak when he died, but he died in honor. And I can honestly tell you that right at the time, last week we were talking about love and how our movement is not based on hate, but that it's based on love. and that the gringo will never know, you know, what our raza is, because our culture, our padres y madres, our abuelitos, they're all based on love. Our familia is based on love. Even our politics, when we fight, when we go out into the communities, as Ricardo did, we do it for love. And we did it to fight something. We did it. Ricardo did it. Ricardo would get angry whenever anyone talked about even selling La Raza Unida to the Democrats or the Republicans, or even accepting money from a white man to run a Chicano's political campaign. He was at his peak because he was talking of love. And he was talking about how in the future we would organize around love against the gringo who can't possibly know love. But he died in honor, fighting the monster racismo, which is, he said, seeks to destroy us. Ricardo Falcón died fighting for the ideals and beliefs which were a part of him and a part of us. A filling station owner treaded with those beliefs, those ideals, and he murdered Ricardo Falcón. But I know that Ricardo is telling us right now that it is continuing. They can never kill our beliefs and our ideals. And the little Chicanitos he taught in Fort Lupton, Colorado, are going to continue to fill that space, that void that Ricardo has left. They continue to live in the little viejitos that he helped. And El Grito continues in La Raza Unida. They will never die. We must choose Ricardo's road. We have roads to choose. It means sacrifice. It means, as Ricardo found out, that if you stand up and start speaking out in America, you can lose your job at a university. And so you have to continue. And Ricardo continued. And the little centavitos que le daban was to continue to pay for his gas to get around. The barrios was sacrifice. And it means a willingness to die. To die for our raza. We never think about that. Our college students get comfortable on the college campuses now, and some have forgotten how they got there. And they don't talk about Ricardo Falcón and how when he started at the university, there were only 17 students there. But that when he left that university, there were close to 1,500. And that Ricardo had to go to jail to get those 1,500 there. And that Ricardo had to die to get those Chicanos there. When we die, let us die as Ricardo did. Let us die fighting in the barrios, in the jails, in the college campuses, in the fields, in the streets, for our raza. Let us all be organizers in every day of our lives, because every moment I was with Rich, we talked movement. We talked what was wrong. We talked what was going wrong. We criticized each other. We didn't agree on everything, but we stuck together. And if we must die, let us die as Ricardo did. And not like the many of us who die in Vietnam fighting for hate and imperialism. Or those of us who die in some OEO coffin, wrapped up in the flag of bureaucracy and pacification. Like those who die in some wall-to-wall carpeted asylum, without ever knowing man's beautiful ability to give, share, and sacrifice our lives for others, as Ricardo did. Ricardo once told me, he said, he always talked about the gringo dollar. And he said, the root of our problem is the gringo dollar. Because every time we get someone into the university and they start to become a leader, the system buys them out. And they sell us, and they pacify us, and they kill us all over again. Ricardo believed this. And he died fighting against that gringo dollar without the gringo dollar. And many of us who have gone through the universities and graduated and got our masters and everything else know that we will never, no matter what, never again, if we have to give up everything and live out in the streets, live for that gringo dollar. Because Ricardo was an example to all of us, to little Chicanitos, and should continue as an example for all or anyone who was a part of La Raza Unida, because La Raza Unida was Ricardo, is every one of you, y lo que hacen ustedes es un ejemplo para sus hijos y sus hijas, los viejitos y las viejitas. And for Ricardo, because I know this is what he would want, el grito that he always shouted on the streets, on the fields, and the universities, and the schools, Chicano! 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 ¡Viva la raza! ¡Viva la causa! ¡Viva la Raza Unida! ¡Que siempre viva Ricardo Falcón! Gracias.
Position as far as La Raza Unida in Colorado. And it is simply this: where we are in the majority, we will control, and where we are in the minority, we will generate awareness and create a pressure group that will lead to a better lives for our people. Early in August, we held our state convention in northern Colorado. At that time, a platform was adopted. At our state caucus yesterday, our delegation voted to present our state platform to you today as our list of priorities. And I'll now present that platform. The introduction. We believe it is man's right, inherent with his existence, to control and influence those factors that affect his life and his community. Only through control of his life and community can any person or group of people combat and overcome poverty, injustice, inequality, and racism. Furthermore, it is the duty and responsibility of all people and groups of people to seek control of their lives and their communities in a manner beneficial to the people that live in those communities. Therefore, it is the right, responsibility, and obligation of Chicanos, urban and rural, to seek and gain control of their lives and communities politically, economically, educationally, and socially. In accordance with this belief, it is our immediate declaration that all institutions, organizations, and agencies existing in or purporting to exist for Chicano communities become accountable to the people that are the basis for their existence. With this theme underlying our efforts and guiding our actions, we address ourselves to the following things. In the area of education, recognizing that the future lives of all Chicanos rest largely in the nature, purpose, and quality of education made available to Chicano communities, and reaffirming the unique social and cultural assets of Chicano communities, we believe the following. Foremost, that educational institutions and persons within those institutions must become accountable for their actions and for the quality of their services to the people and to the communities they are to serve. That an education from kindergarten to college, free of fees, charges, tuition, and independent of one's social and economic background, be made available to all people. That busing, desegregation, or policies of racial balance are not effective means of providing quality education for Chicano students. Rather, the following alternatives must be pursued. Legislation that guarantees each community, each Chicano community, with a district, within a school district, representation on local school boards. That the decision-making ability of Chicano communities be significantly increased in schools where Chicano students attend. That neighborhood schools must be strengthened financially, particularly those schools that exist in Chicano or poor areas. That bilingual, bicultural education, emphasizing and strengthening Chicano social and cultural assets, be adopted as an integral part of public education wherever Chicano students attend school. That a system of school financing, equitable to all persons regardless of social and economic background, be instituted. To this end, we focus on the following. A system of school financing such as the voucher system that allows for equitable distribution of school funds and provides parents and communities with choice and decision-making ability in the educational lives of their children. The adequate financing of parallel and alternative school systems designed to serve the unique needs of Chicano students and communities. And in Colorado, there are 2 schools that this especially addresses itself to. One, located in Denver, Escuela Tlatelolco. The other located in Pueblo, Colorado. That parity for Chicano college students in the state's colleges and universities receive proper legislative, administrative, and financial support and priority. That education for Chicanos in a rural and or migrant situation receive increased financial support and attention, and that it be controlled by the Chicano community. Housing. We will strive to implement and utilize those resources now available and to pursue those resources necessary to attain adequate housing for La Raza. Within this framework, we direct special attention at the passage and implementation of the necessary zoning laws to ensure the stabilization and improvement of Chicano residential communities, including the proper protection from real estate speculators, urban renewal programs that are contrary to the wishes of Chicano communities. Wherever and whenever necessary, that adequate housing with comparable access and space to the previous housing be made available without extraordinary financial burdens involved. That all low-income housing should meet a minimum level of comfort, convenience, and corresponding features conducive to family living. Strong consideration should be given to the prior resources of the potential occupant so as to ensure that the standard of living progresses. For example, in terms of recreational areas for children, access to transportation, shopping convenience, access to health care, and availability of other services such as laundry facilities. That low-income housing in Chicano areas, or built with the purpose of serving Chicanos, should be planned, built, and operated by and for Chicanos. And the La Raza Unida Party of Colorado will support all actions taken to improve housing conditions of Chicanos and Chicano communities. Economic issues, we again re-emphasize our theme of community control. And we recognize that the lack of ownership, the lack of business ownership by Chicanos in Chicano communities leads to a drain of scarce economic resources existing in Chicano communities and contributes to the disproportionate Chicano unemployment rate. We direct special attention at parity in employment to include such areas as public service, various agencies, unions, governmental work, and the like. Two things of special consideration. First of all, we resolve a boycott of all Chevron stations and products until the questions and issues surrounding the death of Ricardo Falcon have been satisfactorily answered to us. Secondly, we urge a boycott of Great Western Sugar in order to bring awareness to the Chicano nation about the plight of Chicano farm workers, poor farm workers who've worked, toiled, and physically died in the sugar beet fields. We urge the National Partido de la Raza Unida to call for these two boycotts. On the question of drugs, we recognize the exploitive nature of hard drug traffic and its damaging and disrupting effect on Chicano communities and on our youth. We strongly pursue an avenue of complete and immediate elimination of hard drugs from Chicano communities and